Hey guys, welcome to the Go and Chess Trio. Today we're going to have a look at the first game to finish in the round 2 of the ongoing candidates tournament, and this game is played between the top seed of the tournament, Fabiano Caruana, and the very young and the wildcard entry, Kirill Alekseenko. The rating difference between these two players is the highest in the tournament. Fabiano Caruana is rated 2842, while Alekseenko is rated 2698. It's a very interesting game. Let's check it out. Caruana is more of an e4 player, but in this game he chose to go with d4, and Alekseenko replied knight f6, and the game continued c4, e6, knight c3, and here Alekseenko chose the Nimzo-Indian, so he played the move bishop b4, and here Caruana played the move f3. Now it is an ambitious move. He's planning to take control of the center with e4 next, so here Alekseenko chose to play d5 himself, now also controlling the e4 square. So a3 was played, immediately questioning the bishop, and here Alekseenko chose to play the move bishop e7, though instead of bishop e7, bishop into c3 is a perfectly fine move and is played more often. But Alekseenko chose to play bishop e7, probably he wanted to keep his bishop on the board. So after which Caruana played e4, and as planned, so d into e4, f into e4, and over here Alekseenko played the move c5. Now e5 is also another option. Again, both the moves are trying to break white's strong center, but Alekseenko chose c5, after which the game continued d5. And after e into d5, black castled, bishop e2, and black played the move rook e8, developing the rook on the king's file because white's king is on e1. It's a very natural move to play rook e8. After which white played knight f3 and black developed his bishop. So these are all common normal development moves, and white castled. Black played knight bd7. And over here we see that white has a pass pawn on d5, which is usually considered as an asset because it's also connected. It's got support from the c4 pawn. But let's see what happens in the game. So after knight bd7, Caruana chose to play the move d6. Now this move does bring doubt to our minds because it's no longer very well protected like it was on the d5 square, but Caruana chose to push the pawn, so he definitely had something in mind. Let's check it out. So after d6, the bishop is forced to move behind, so bishop f8, and h3 was played, and then bishop h5. And yes, now we get to know the idea behind the d6 move because Caruana played the move knight b5, having the threat of knight c7 and putting forward a fork so that he could win in exchange. And here black played the move rook e6, which is a mistake. Now it's definitely not allowing knight c7 because black can simply capture rook into d6 after that, but this move is a mistake. So after knight b5, rook b8 was probably the best move in the position, getting out of the knight c7 fork threat. And after knight c7, he has rook e4 and bishop d3. Now over here, black would have to still give up his exchange. So after bishop into d6, bishop into e4. In this line too, as I said, he has to give up the exchange, but this is definitely better than what black chose to play in the game because you have a lot more compensation over here. For example, after knight into e4, black does have control over the dark squares. Like here, knight d5 has to be played, after which black can continue with knight g3, and it seems like black is pretty fine. Getting back to the game, after rook e6 was played, Caruana did not give Alekseenko a chance after this. So after rook e6, Fabiano played a very nice and a very simple move bishop f4, again just supporting the d6 pawn and developing his bishop, of course. And yes, again he does threaten to play the move knight c7. So here a6 was played, and this is an inaccuracy because of the following what happened in the game. But yeah, instead of a6, again rook e4 was probably the best move in the position. Anyway, after the move a6, Fabiano played knight c7. Again, this is a fork, and black played the move rook e4, and Fabiano continued with bishop h2. Now this may not be the best move in the position, because it looks like queen d2 would be stronger, because not only does he support his bishop, but he develops his queen and he also connects his rooks. So the next he could play is rook a d1 probably. And now the d6 pawn looks really strong, and the pawn push, the d6 pawn push now seems to be really worth it. But okay, bishop h2 is not bad either. So after bishop h2, Alekseenko continued with rook c8. And here Alekseenko was already low on time, and Caruana seemed to have great preparation till now. So Caruana continued with g4, and black played bishop into g4 over here. Of course, he gave a piece sacrifice, and he could have gone with bishop g6, but here white can simply play bishop d3, and he would still have to give up his exchange, because after rook e3, that would be a mistake, because he would have to face bishop into g6, h into g6, and then queen d2, and this position is really good for white. Alekseenko surely saw this, and therefore he chose to go for the interesting piece sacrifice instead. So let's go back to the game. He played the move bishop into g4. He probably thought he would get a lot of compensation here, and it seems like it. So after h into g4, knight into g4, and now black is just threatening to get rid of white's dark squared bishop on h2, and he can also play knight e3, forking the rook and the queen. So here white continued with bishop d3, and this does stop the move knight e3, because even now if black plays a move knight e3, white can simply capture the black rook with bishop into e4, and after knight into d1, rook a into d1, white has the better position, because now he has two pieces and a rook for black's queen, and white's position is just too good. So here black instead chose to play the move knight into h2 instead of the move knight e3, and here Caruana continued bishop into e4, knight into f1, queen into f1, and Alekseenko immediately captured the very dangerous pawn, because he got the chance to do so, and the pawn was really troublesome on d6. But this is actually an inaccuracy, and probably playing the move knight f6 first and then capturing bishop into d6 was the better option. For example, after knight f6, if bishop f5, rook b8, and rook a d1, so that you can be on the queen's file and support the d6 pawn, but black can still capture bishop into d6, and black is doing pretty fine over here. So anyway, after bishop into d6, white played knight d5. Since the knight was attacked, he had to retreat the knight. And here white's idea was probably to play the move queen h3 to put pressure on the h7 pawn. So as a prophylactic move, black played the move g6, just blocking the diagonal and keeping the h7 pawn safe. But white still continued with queen h3, and here he's putting up a tiny threat of playing the move queen into d7 and winning a piece. For example, let's just make a random move for black. If the move b5 is played, white has queen into d7, knight f6 check, and capturing the queen. So after the move queen h3, Alekseenko played king g7, just getting out of the threat. And Caruana played a really nice move in this position, and that is king h1, because now he's just planning to get the last piece into the game, and that is the rook that is not really into the game right now. So his plan is to play rook g1, and the rook, all his pieces are actually doing a great job. So after king h1, black played knight e5, trying to exchange pieces, because in such positions where you are really having a cramped or a minus position, you try to trade pieces. It's going to help you at least improve your position, because your opponent will not have those many pieces to attack your king. So it's pretty obvious that Caruana would not capture knight into e5, because it would reduce his advantage. So he chose to play knight h4 instead, as he doesn't want to trade his pieces. So after knight h4, black played the move h5, and this is a mistake, but it's really difficult to play this position anyway, because he was also having a very less time on the clock. But that's not just the point. The position is just too difficult to play for black, and rook c6 was the best move in the position. But again, it was not enough time for Alekseenko to actually think it through. So after h5, Caruana continued with his idea rook g1, and again Alekseenko played an inaccurate move. Let's call it a blunder kind of move. So he played bishop f8, and again in this position rook c6 would have been the best move, but again white anyway has a winning advantage, so doesn't really matter. So after bishop f8, Caruana continued with knight f4, again getting his pieces towards black's king side, and he's probably planning to play some sacrifices on the board now. So here Alekseenko played knight g4, just blocking the file of the rook, but it did not really matter to Fabiano. He continued with his idea of sacrificing, and that is knight into h5, and after g into h5, he has now just opened up the file, so there's no pawn on the g6 square anymore, and he continued with bishop f5, now attacking the rook and threatening to capture the knight too, and trying to expose the black king. So here black, if he moved his rook, I mean his king was just doomed, so he just played the move bishop e7 instead, attacking the h4 knight and getting some piece play. And Caruana continued with bishop into g4, h into g4, queen into g4 check, and as we see the king is already very exposed. And after bishop g5, Caruana played queen h5, and this is the best move in the position, and Alekseenko just resigned over here. Now instead of queen h5, Caruana could have played the move queen g5 and continued the game a piece up, but as we saw in the game, Caruana was in a different mood. So after queen h5, why did Alekseenko resign? Because he really doesn't have anything in the position. For example, if he does continue to play the move f6, white has knight f5 coming, and after king f8 there is queen h8 check, king f7, queen h7 check, and a checkmate soon follows. If you did like this video, please support us by liking this video, and if you haven't subscribed as yet, this is the perfect time because we will be posting game analysis on a daily basis. And if you do not want to miss any of our videos, please don't forget to hit the bell icon too. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.